box office. Yes, the international numbers are not in for most of these movies yet, so we will not be talking about as well. First movie is The Nun. Even with only domestic numbers being put in for The Nun 2, the movie has become a box office success. So there's a rarity in Hollywood because it used to be where almost every movie was a box office success, but we don't have those anymore. We don't have box office successes anymore. We don't really have those anymore. It's really a rare thing now, which is pretty troubling and problematic for Hollywood because they already have problems with strikes. They already have, problems with that stuff, and now we have problems with, making money at the box office. This has been a problem for like the past year or two. Okay, it has been become a less of a problem this year and last year, but it's still become a problem of all these major movies are flopping because people don't so like Hollywood anymore. Okay, we really just do the alternative to Hollywood. But even then, The Nun 2 has made money at the box office. Oh, and Disney has another flop on their hands. Yes, yet another flop. A Haunting in Venice. Yes, this is another flop for Disney. Okay, not too surprising that no one is going to see this movie, obviously. And people say, oh, it must have a low budget. It's a horror movie. Okay? Oh, the budget is $60 million. Yes, Disney spent $60 million on this movie. Further proving that Disney makes everything expensive for no reason whatsoever. No one is going to go see this movie. And this movie is going to lose a lot of money. So this movie needs to make $150 million to break even. Okay? But Disney, of course, does not care. And they want to lose money because they want to spend so much money on their movies as well. Okay? If they spent $50 million less than Elemental would have made money. If they spent like $50 to $100 million less on the Little Mermaid remake, that movie would have made money. Okay? And it's not just Disney as well. Mission Impossible Fallout didn't need to cost $300 million to make. Okay, if Mission Impossible was a moderate costing movie, the movie would have made money. Okay, $100 to $150 million. Fast X, if it was $150 to even $200 million. Fast X would have still made $200 million at the box office. But these studios think that they have to spend $200 to $300 million on every single movie. Okay, and they're wondering, why are these movies flopping? It's because people don't own its IP anymore? No, it's because they're spending $250 million in every movie and expecting every movie to make $1 billion at the box office because that's how it used to be. So, I think they were expecting Mission Impossible to make $1 billion, Fast to make $1 billion, okay, Fast X to make $1 billion, Little Mermaid to make $1 billion. None of those movies made $1 billion. They're all those movies didn't make money. They didn't make money. They all flopped. And Haunting in Venice is yet another example of Hollywood spending too much money in this movie. And this movie costs like $20 to $40 million to make, like these types of movies should cost, then, this movie will eventually make money. Even like if it was $40 million, this movie could still make $80 million. But this movie's not going to make $150 million globally. It's not. Okay? This movie could have been a moderate success. It could have been. But Disney would rather, lose money than making moderate successes. Same thing with the failure of the Boogeyman as well. Spending $50 million on that movie, even though they didn't need to spend $50 million on a horror movie. Okay? Horror movies are not supposed to be super expensive. Next is Equalizer 3. They do not have the international numbers for this movie. Same thing with The Nun 2. So you can't really accurately see if this movie is going to make money or not. Because you don't know how much money it made internationally. Probably made around $60 million internationally, which means the movie's going to make around $140 million. Was at this point as well. But again, there's no international numbers put in yet because they usually update that around 11 to 11:30, or even around 12 sometimes. And yeah, this movie could definitely make money at the very end of its box office run, the very tail end of its box office run. But again, this movie needs to make around $170 million to break even as well. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Yes, a movie that no one asked for. Okay, they actually have the full numbers for this movie for some reason. As well, the full international numbers for this movie. Or not just domestic numbers, the international. Okay, and I think the international numbers have been updated for this movie. It's just domestic numbers. But there's a sad possibility that this might actually make money and make a My Big Fat Greek Wedding 4. Because this movie would make around $40 million to break even. Again, if it was Disney, it would make it cost $50 million for some weird reason. Disney likes to make their money movies so expensive that they're not going to make money. So at least Focus Pictures understands that, even if the movie still needs to make money, it still needs to make profit. Okay? And, at the end of the day, okay, again, no one asked for a My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, and I don't think we can get My Big Fat Greek Wedding 4 unless it's on streaming or something. But it's gonna, hopefully this is the nail in the coffin for the My Big Fat Greek Wedding movies. Again, this movie dropped 53% from a $10 million opening as well. So yeah. Again, who asked for My Big Fat Greek Wedding 4 free? Okay, next is Barbie. This movie, international numbers have not been updated. But Barbie is continuing to defeat all of the movies at the box office. Even its Twilight days, Barbie is still making a lot of money. For some reason, they don't have any numbers for Japan. For some reason, I don't know why they have 0 for Japan on the numbers. They're probably counting Japanese numbers for the rest of the world, even though Japan's a major market. For some reason, they're not tracking Japan's box office for this movie as well. But again, the numbers are not very accurate as well sometimes. And even post the wrong box office sometimes. Next is Jawan, which is an Indian movie. Made $50 million. It's made by T-Series. If you didn't know, remember the whole war against T-Series? Excuse me. But yep, that is about Jawan at the box office. I don't think they report how much money it makes in India, so yeah. It probably made a lot of money in India, they just don't report it, essentially. Next is Blue Beetle again. International number is not updated, but even then, this movie is a massive box office failure. Losing to a movie like Sound of Freedom at the box office is pretty hilarious that it's losing to Sound of Freedom in Latin America as well. So, next is Gran Turismo based off of a true story. Again, international numbers have not been reported yet, but this movie is still a box office failure either way. So yeah, this movie is still a box office flop. Next is Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer has made $912 million. So this movie is signed sort of internationally, which means there's a huge chance this movie does not make $1 billion. The huge international surge for this movie was because it's China and Italy, and of course South Korea sales as well. But this movie's gonna start to slow down. I think it's gonna end up around 900. It's still gonna make a large amount of money. It's one of the highest grossing R-rated movies of all time, as well, as the highest grossing BIPOC of all time, or biopic, of those types of movies, being now Freddie Mercury and Bohemian Rhapsody for that title as well. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Again, this movie is gonna be a loss at the very end as well. International sales are coming in for this movie finally. They're starting to, but it's basically just releasing in New Zealand and Australia, where I think it's the only driving force for international numbers for this movie, as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is only popular in the English-speaking world and in Mexico. So, this movie's not gonna make that much more money internationally, and it's right now Steam domestically as well. So this movie is gonna definitely lose some money in the theaters, similar to Elemental. This year has been a pretty mixed year for animated movies. We had Mario movie and Spider-Verse make huge chunks of money. Meanwhile, Ruby Gillman became completely forgotten, obviously, which is no one's surprise. Another L for the Bean Mouth art style. Again, Hollywood thinks, people love the Bean Mouth art style, and in reality, nobody likes it, and no one goes see movies with Bean Mouth art style. Elemental was suffer the same fate, but I think both Turtles and Elemental is a loss, which is probably the best case scenario for Elemental. And Turtles, again, it's because of lack of international interest outside of America, and also pushing away a lot of the Turtles fans who are fans of the 90s and did not like the changes to certain characters in the movie. So that is about Turtles as well. as well. And also we have Bottoms. No one is going to see this movie. No true surprise about this. When you're advertising a movie by the producers of Cocaine Bear, well, you realize that you effed up because Cocaine Bear was not really a good movie per se. Okay, it's Cocaine Bear. Okay, it's not a well received movie. And that's it about this video here. Goodbye.